to this podcast. And today we've got a special guest. Her name is Celeste. And I've known Celeste for a few years now. And we started talking the other day, and I realized that there's a lot of the principles that we apply that Celeste uses in a slightly different way in her daily job. So, Celeste, why don't you just tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and about what you do?
Thanks, Alzon. Yes, I'm a educational therapist and I have a Mind Moves practice, so I'm affiliated with the Mind Moves Institute. Now, the Mind Moves Institute, we identify learning barriers in children and we do training and research, but in the field of neuroscience. So we
Okay.
use the brain and brain paths to pinpoint the learning barriers.
Okay. And what is the age of the average child that you deal with?
Well, we deal with age 3 to 18.
Okay, wow. So that's basically the
Yeah.
whole spectrum.
Yes, the whole spectrum. For babies up until age 3 is the Baby Gym Institute, and then Mind Moves is from age 3 to 18.
Okay. And how do your clients get to you? Do they get referred from school or, how do people get to the Mind Moves therapy?
Well, most of the time they will get referred to us by the school. So we do training to teachers, and then they usually after that they will identify children and they will refer them. Or teachers will, the parents, they will know or hear about Mind Moves, or they will hear about a friend whose child went to Mind Moves and now they improved their learning. So, yeah, word of mouth, but most of the time it is referrals by the schools.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So Celeste, why don't you just tell us a little bit about how you use muscle testing? Because in the academy, I go through a lot of discussions in terms of the different types of muscle testing that we find. Now, quantum consulting is mostly done via proxy muscle testing. So that's something that we do online. And although that's something that you guys can do as well, it's not really what you use. You use manual muscle testing or surrogate muscle testing. So I would
Yes.
like us to tell the viewers a little bit more about how you use muscle testing in your practice every day and the benefits of using it to your patients.
Okay. So, how and why we use muscle testing is we do what we call a mind dynamics profile. So the profile will indicate the child's brain dominance. The brain dominance, whether eye and ear or hand dominance, will indicate possible learning barriers or flow of information for a child to learn. You know, they have to get information in, processing in the brain, and information out. So um, dominance is actually where there is two of, the one will lead.
Okay.
Okay, so for example, the left brain, right brain. Everybody knows left brain, right brain.
Mm-hmm.
So what we will do is we will do the muscle testing. So how I explain it to the children usually, because this is a abstract or a scientific thing that we do, but to explain it to the children. So in your body, through the nervous system, where you have electrical impulses.
Mm-hmm.
So I will usually show them I have this little ball. So if I touch there, there's that little, um,
Like a
what do you call?
conductor thing.
Yeah, conductors. So if I touch it, it does nothing. But if I
Mm-hmm.
touch it with my other finger,
Oh, that's cool.
it will do that. So what I've shown them is that there's a stream of electricity inside of you.
Yes.
So and if I touch their hand and they touch the ball, and if I leave the hand, then that it will stop doing that.
Yes.
So
So what
it's
you
usually for
basically
them it's
do
like
is you've got a circuit that you complete. So you holding the
a
child's hand,
circuit.
and then you
Yes.
touching the one side of the ball, and they holding your hand and touching the other side. And through both
Yes.
of your bodies, you complete a circuit that powers the light
Exactly.
and sound in the ball. How amazing is that
Exactly.
to prove that there is an electromagnetic
Yeah.
current in our bodies and that we can connect, that current can run through two different people?
Exactly. Yeah,
Wow.
and it is running through the nervous system.
Okay.
So, and exactly like you explained it now, that is how I will explain it then to the children. And once I've showed the little ball to them, they're like, wow, this is cool. And then let's go.
Ready to
So,
go.
what it actually is, the muscle testing for the dominance is you test the strongest circuit.
Yes. So
So,
once the circuit stays strong, the answer is yes. That's the
the answer is
affirmative.
yes. Yeah,
Okay.
so that is a yes, and the weaker circuit is then a no. So if I test them through the manual testing, like I have to physically touch them to complete the circuit.
Mm-hmm.
So then the if I test the left brain and the strongest circuit is left and the weaker circuit is right, then they are left brain dominant.
Okay. And then just
Yes.
explain to me, how do you do the manual muscle testing? Do they hold out the arm and then you apply pressure to the arm?
Yes.
So that's how
So
you would do it.
yes, so I will, both of us will stand up straight and
Mm-hmm.
I will explain to them, you put out your arm, let me show like this, but like a 45 degrees, not
A full 90,
very
yes?
high. And then I will, first I will start explaining to them to get a positive feedback, like, what do you like to eat? So that is an emotional positive feedback. If they
Mm-hmm.
like it, then they can experience the strong circuit for themselves. And then if what they don't like to eat, then that is usually a weaker response. So then they can feel it for themselves, which one is stronger and which one is weaker.
Mm.
So when I test them, I always ask them, so which one was the strongest for you? How did it feel to you? And trust me, even if they are 6 years old, like, you can feel it and you can see it. The mother usually also sit there, and then I will confirm with both of them, and she will say, yes, I definitely saw that one was the strongest
Wow.
response. So the muscle testing, what it is, if I touch the child on the shoulder and then
Mm-hmm.
on the arm to complete the circuit. So when I press it down, the stronger one will then be the arm won't go down as much, or there will be
Yes.
more resistance.
Okay.
With a weaker circuit, then the arm will go down, or yeah,
Yeah.
easily.
Okay.
Sometimes easily, but sometimes you can feel just a weaker muscle. They can
Yes.
feel it in their bodies, yeah.
That's amazing. So first you establish a baseline so that they can know
Yes.
and see what yes and no is. And that
Yeah,
creates trust in the system. Because once
exactly.
they've seen that, then they know that whatever questions you're asking about their dominance in terms of their brain development,
Yeah,
that is a true yes or no answer. So
yeah,
this is an amazing tool that you use in your day-to-day practice to help
yeah.
children with learning.
Exactly, yeah. Because yeah, so if they have a dominant, let's say a dominant right brain, but also a dominant right ear, then if the dominant part is on the same side of your body, then that creates a barrier, because then that creates a blockage. Because
Okay.
information actually flows from your left brain to the right side of your body,
Okay.
or the other way around. So if I say, okay, but you are right brain dominant, but also right ear, then that's the children who listens for the third time. They do not listen for the first time.
I
So
understand.
that is
Yes.
how we use then the muscle testing and the dominance to identify learning barriers.
That's amazing. So it's not a diagnostic tool, it's just a tool to find issues that you can then find a practical way to address the issue and help the child to develop and learn. Wow.
Yes, but what's amazing about the muscle testing is um, the body cannot lie. There's a
Mm.
strong circuit and then there's a strong circuit. So what we test is actually the genetic makeup. We test the genetic brain dominance.
Yes.
Because if you complete a questionnaire about the dominance, then sometimes, or about the personality, then most of the time you are not objective about what you complete. But with the muscle testing, there isn't an option. It is objective, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
genetically,
true.
and it is the body cannot lie.
Yeah.
The circuit, the strongest circuit is the strongest circuit.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
It's interesting what you said, because if you do the questionnaire, your conscious mind can actually influence it. You
Yes.
can influence it. But with the muscle
Yes.
testing, you're working with subconscious mind, so you can't
Yeah.
influence it. Okay, so
Exactly.
Celeste, you also told me that sometimes the children have a weak muscle tone. So because of some physiological or other reason, they may have weak muscle tone. And then you use what we call a surrogate to test. Can you
Yes.
tell us a bit more about how you do that and how it works?
Okay. If a child has weak muscle tone, because it's a physical test and they have to stand up straight. So with weak muscle tone, they sometimes literally cannot stand up straight.
Mm-hmm.
And then the feedback in the circuit is either weak the whole time or strong the whole time. So what we then do is we use the mother in the circuit. So she takes the child's hand, and I will test her arm and on the child's shoulder. So then between the three of us, we create a circuit then, um, to do that, to
Okay.
test that weak
So
or strong circuit.
that would be like all three of you holding hands and then two of you touching the little ball and it still completes the circuit.
Yes,
Yes, so that's
exactly.
why you can test on someone else, but because they're touching the person that you
Yeah,
want to test, that person's energy is running from their body
exactly.
through the
Yeah,
mommy's body, and then you testing mommy. That's amazing
yes,
because that's
it
another
is.
way to prove in a very simple way that even children can understand that energy can
Yeah,
run through one person to another. And that's just
yeah,
another scientific proof of muscle testing and even proxy testing. So thanks,
yeah.
Celeste. I really wanted just
Pleasure.
to for you to share this with us because I think sometimes people get stuck on the muscle testing idea, and a lot of people have questions and how does it work and is it something physical or is it something spiritual? And I think that little ball thing really proves, although you cannot see the electromagnetic current, scientifically it's proven as a physical thing. So
Yeah,
thank you so
yeah.
much for sharing that.
Pleasure. Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you for having me.
It's a pleasure. And then we're going to have another interview with Celeste because she's got some very interesting information to share about anxiety, where it comes from, and even a tip or two on how to deal with anxiety if you're a child or even as an adult, right?
Yes,
Okay, great. Well, tune
coming
in
up.
for our next podcast. Thanks, Celeste.
Thank you.